Hello everybody, Stephen Howson, Full-Time Devils. Got an absolute ragtag bunch joining me today. I have got Statman Daddy, I have got John Shin, and I have got Adam McKola from Full-Time Devils joining me. We are going to be talking about the FA Cup this week. We have got Huddersfield, and do you know what? Actually, it's taken a wind out of my sails just a little bit, because the worst games we've played this year have been Huddersfield. We might have won one, but it was still a bad game, wasn't it? Anyway, we've got a couple of topics that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the team selection. We're going to be talking about Huddersfield. We're going to get our predictions. We're going to talk to you guys in the comments as well. So if you've got anything that you want to get off your chest, get it in the comments, and we're going to read that out. So the first thing that we're going to talk about then is a big week. We've got Sevilla. We've got Chelsea on the other end of this. 3 competitions are in focus now. Are we going to see anything from Manchester United to show something different from the last 2 weeks of the dire stuff that we've just seen? Or do you think that we're in for a bit of a rocky road? McKola, what do you think?
I think you mentioned Huddersfield being the worst game of the season. I think after Spurs and Newcastle, it might have dropped down the list a little bit because those games have taken it over. I'm not feeling great at the moment in terms of positivity and that. Now, I think in the terms of the bigger picture, I think it's still okay. I don't like these sounds coming out about Jose and Pogba, but I think it's just paper talk at a time when it will stick, because Manchester United doing badly, if you write bad things about it, people are going to think it's true when we're underperforming. So I kind of expected that, but United, we need to bounce back. It's that simple. The FA Cup is very, very important to us. The last 2 away performances haven't been good enough. I don't think Jose Mourinho has performed, nor has the players. I think against Tottenham, you could blame the players. Against Newcastle, it's a combination of Jose Mourinho and the players, because Jose Mourinho should have and could have changed it, and he didn't. So he picked that team after the abysmal performance at Tottenham, and I felt that he was wrong for that. And I feel you can't allow players to be playing games after putting in such poor performances, especially the likes of Smalling and Jones. Like after that Spurs game, whether you want to keep them long term or not, after that Spurs game, they get dropped. I don't care who they are. Because there has to be some sort of punishment, man. If you're going to play that crap, we can't just allow that. So I think the last week or so has put a bit of negative feel, but I'm not completely down in the dumps. And I do think a win against Huddersfield, a win against or a good result in Sevilla, and everyone starts talking positively about Manchester United again. Because at the end of the day, we are still second, and if we're shit, then everybody else is shit, innit?
I think this has come at a strange time. There's a lot of positivity from some of the results in Europe for the other teams in the Premier League. There's a lot of positivity around everybody else, and just those 2 results after what had happened with signing Sanchez and the trip away in Dubai, everything was looking on the up and up for United, and then it just took the wind out of our sails massively, hasn't it? John, FA Cup, where does this rank in terms of the importance? Is winning an FA Cup going to be enough? We did sack a manager for only winning an FA Cup once. Not too long ago.
I think winning the FA Cup is very important this season. But actually, sorry, before I start, I just want to take this opportunity to sort of quickly off the side. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to the victims in Parkdale, Florida, here in the United States. It was a pretty big, tragic event that had occurred, and I want to send my thoughts there, especially because Full-Time Devils is such a big platform. But that aside, anyways, back to the football. FA Cup is a big issue for Manchester United. I was going to say United States. Well, Manchester United, because while we did sack a manager for the FA Cup, we started the season way too well and way too bright and positive for us to not end the season with a trophy. Now, that being said, I don't think just the FA Cup is warranted of some sort of a successful season. I think we also need to make sure that we're finishing on a strong end. I know the Premier League is almost sort of out of reach, but nevertheless, we still need to make sure we maintain a strong lead in that top 4 with the FA Cup. And I think I sort of stand on the same situation with Adam with respect to the sort of vibe and atmosphere going around Manchester United currently. The Sports Witness, they did a good dissection of a article that L'Equipe posted not too long ago with respect to Paul Pogba and his sort of regret and all that jazz with respect to Manchester United and Jose Mourinho in particular. And while there isn't many truths to take out of that article, because at the end of the day, it feels like it's just a lot of hype, and this is the perfect opportunity for journalists to kind of get at Manchester United, especially coming off of defeats like against Spurs and Newcastle like that in that fashion. I think we also need to be wary that we aren't looking too good at the moment, and we are not the club that should be capitulating in a situation like this. So we need to make sure we maintain a healthy balance of going forward and taking victories, with some sort of conviction. And we need to make sure we maintain that sort of rhythm towards the end of the season.
Dave, do you reckon the squad is capable of coping with 3 competitions that we need to be dealing with? Do you reckon we're going to see us focus on one of those competitions? Will the FA Cup be one of those competitions? What do you reckon?
I'd probably rest the team at this game in the FA Cup, to be quite honest. I think the bigger game is Sevilla for me. The bigger game for Manchester United is Sevilla. Unfortunately, with the FA Cup, you don't really get anything apart from a trophy. Of course, trophies are important for the development of some of these players, but at the same time, the Champions League is the creme de la creme of European football. We've seen that with it exploding back this week, some absolute quality games, and Man United need to perform in that games. For me, maybe rotating the side against Huddersfield isn't a bad thing, and then throwing Paul Pogba in a midfield 3 against Sevilla, maybe that is the master plan. Maybe this is Mourinho sitting back there going, how do we really mess with these guys? And then we come out and we actually play when we need to play, the right system, with the right team, with the right players. And I think all this Paul Pogba, Mourinho stuff is all utter rubbish. It's all just media stuff. And I don't know why you guys are so upset. When Man United, we're in the Champions League still. We're second in the league. There's progression. Things are happening. We've got exciting young players.
So we just lost against Newcastle, Dave.
We just lost 2 consecutive games.
Things happen like that under Fergie. Those games at Everton that we'd lose here, we'd lose there. It's just a bit like...
Yeah,
we've got a good future.
But under Fergie, Dave, there'd be a reaction. There'd be some people getting showed that you can't play like this, man.
Yeah, you won't pick the exact same 11 that's just done the same thing.
No one's taking responsibility. You can't play exactly what Steve said. You can't play the same 11. Like I seen it and I thought he's probably trying to give these guys a chance to prove himself.
They played Huddersfield in the Premier League in between that, where they didn't play the same 11 and he changed the team.
Away from home, Dave.
Yeah, but then you're saying away from home, there was a game in between. So they changed the 11 and then they brought the 11 back. It's like they dropped. Phil Jones didn't play against Huddersfield. Phil Jones got dropped against Huddersfield.
I'd rather them have played at home than played away, though, Dave. You can't play these geezers away from home and think, oh, yeah, that's showing them. They've been dropped for one home game against Huddersfield. Fuck's sake. Got Newcastle away, which is a more difficult game, playing against a manager that has won big trophies with shit teams. Like,
yeah, I'd argue I'd say Huddersfield Town's the harder game. I'd say Rafa Benitez is tactically inept and David Wagner is a better manager in these days. And I think in terms of what David Wagner's doing, it's a lot better.
Nah, mate.
It's weird. Adam, give us a smile.
Huddersfield at home
feel like you need a couple
game than Newcastle away. And also, we should not be playing Smalling and Jones a second away game after they've messed up so badly at Tottenham. It don't make sense to me. What the fuck, man?
Right. The next topic we're talking about is places. So we'll come straight onto this as the next topic then. Who in this side is playing for their place? Because there's obviously a lot of people talking about the defence, and I think quite rightly so. But I think the midfield, and the only person who knows that they're playing and knows that they're doing their job correctly is David De Gea. I think aside from that, every single player, including Sanchez, including Lukaku, including Pogba, at the moment are not 100% secure in their place. I see people saying, take Lukaku out of the team, which I definitely don't agree with. I think they're massively underestimating what he does on and off the ball. And they're saying play Sanchez down the middle, they're saying play Martial down the middle. I've seen people saying, if Pogba can't play in a 2, then let's not play him. Madness. But people are saying this. So the only player that I think is secure in his position is David De Gea. So who in this team do you guys think that are playing for the places? You've mentioned Smalling, you've mentioned Jones. Ashley Young, is that another one? Matic, does he look like he needs a rest at the moment? Like, talk to me about these. John, I'm going to come to you first while these lot get ready to ramp up their arguments again. What do you reckon? Who in this side here do you think really needs to be thinking about their future at Manchester United?
I think you're spot on with that. But with rather than playing for a spot in the starting 11, I think they're playing for their futures. And I'm gonna take this opportunity to go straight into discussing Jones, Smalling, and even Young at times. And to be fair to Young, with respect to his performances throughout the season. He's always been there on the bench, irrespective of his qualities. He's been there when Jose Mourinho, when Louis van Gaal has been there to call upon him for his services. He's given us a decent shift, 7 out of 10s here and there, but we can't rely on that back four. And especially when you're trying to make these progressions and trying to compete on all fronts, like your Premier League, your FA Cup, your Champions League, like Dave said, if we're trying to make sure that we're going to prioritize the Champions League as one of the biggest competitions for us to face, we can't go forward when we're going to be taking on the teams with the qualities like Real Madrid, your PSGs, your Bayern Munichs, all these teams, and have Phil Jones and Chris Smalling in defense. So I think this is more so of a fight for your career sort of situation for the defenders like Phil Jones and Chris Smalling.
I'm not liking Phil Jones being lumped in with Chris Smalling in this lot, because even though they played together,
I agree.
I don't think their
agree
performances are exactly the same. I
agree, but I still think Jones should be punished.
You know what?
You don't get away with that shit.
Yeah. I do think that there's plenty of comments that suggest that, and you can see Phil Jones is, at the end of the day, as a quality of a footballer, I think he possesses a little bit more talent than Chris Smalling. But at the end of the day, when you're there together and in that defensive partnership, and you're not producing week in, week out for Phil Jones, I just want to say Phil Jones lacks the balance, the sort of the qualities of the composure that you need for a central defender. And if you have somebody like Chris Smalling next to you who lacks decision making and who's diving in that sort of manner, you're not going to be able to solidify a position there just because the central defensive partner next to me is crap. That to me, that's not a valid argument. I think both of them have not been good, and both of them will not be sort of in this light of individualism as central defenders. We need to observe them overall and assess that these two central defenders are not good for Manchester United players.
Right, Adam. Do you think there's anyone that's thinking about, can they cement a place, as Dave said, for Sevilla, which is probably the most important game? And I think in Jose's mind, the Chelsea game's a big game at home as well. I think there's anyone that you think is going to come and steal a starting 11 place? Anyone that needs to?
I feel like Herrera and McTominay could definitely find their way into a team.
I think Carrick could on recent form.
It seems Carrick as well, but I can't see him starting Carrick away from home against Sevilla. Maybe against Huddersfield, but away from home against Sevilla, I can't see it. I think players fighting for their place for that game. Who's fighting for their place? I think Smalling's fighting for his United career. I think Jones, like you guys have said, is probably a little bit safe. I want to see more of Lindelof, to be honest. And I think in that Sevilla game, that could probably be a game for Lindelof where he will come in. We've seen him been playing in Europe quite a lot. But sorry to repeat it, I just don't want to see mistakes being rewarded with further starts in the team. Exactly. I don't care who you are. That's just not fair. And also, playing this 4-2-3-1, which is what I think to accommodate that poor defence, it's not helping, man. And I know we're in the middle of the season. I know we can't sign players, but you just got to stop playing the players that are putting us in this position. Like, said it so many times. We thought Chris Smalling and Phil Jones were going to be the shit nearly 10 years ago. Like, do you know how long ago that was? Let me ask you this, Dave. If we put Smalling up for sale tomorrow, who would come in for him? Arsenal.
That's the problem. That's the fundamental problem of what's happening at the moment, is that there's a
I'm on about the quality and the level of these players.
That's for them. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. There's a problem because there isn't any, the top quality centre-halves already play for big clubs. They already play for Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, or Juventus. They already play there. So what we need to do is we need to give these younger players time. But the problem is, like you just said there, Adam, if they play badly, they get dropped. That's a terrible...
No. I'm talking about Smalling and them, man.
Yeah, but then
Zabi would have played better than that.
The whole squad. When you say that like
that,
it means, for example, if Victor Lindelof comes in and he has his weaknesses still, if he makes a mistake where he gets caught under a cross or caught under a high ball, like he has done in the past, does he instantly get dropped? That's the problem. You need to be able to bring these players in. That's what you were sort of saying there.
Lindelof hasn't been here since 2010.
I'm not saying about that. I'm saying about the mentality of Manchester United players, of this in and out culture that we have around our football club. That one game they're the next Pele, the next Maradona, the next day that they're absolutely rubbish and they can't even kick a ball. To allow players to improve, like Bailly and Lindelof, that could be some of the best centre halves in world football, they need the game time, but they also need the confidence and the support behind them. And I think that's a big point. That is a big point of that. Chris Smalling and Jones, maybe their time's come and gone at Manchester United, but then the next group of players that are coming through, they will make mistakes because they're young players, but you need them to do that. It's better for them to make mistakes this season than next season. That's a big thing.
That, man.
And this is the thing, like, you need to be able to just appreciate that there's going to be young players that will make mistakes. Older players making mistakes, yeah, I agree. But for example, if you're taking your mentality of a player has a bad game away from home, they've got to be dropped for the next game. You ain't going to get any development in terms of playing.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't. If Lindelof had a bad game against Newcastle, would we be on his case as much?
You would be. You would 100% be on his case.
I'd be saying sell him now.
He's done. He's over.
No, mate, that's bullshit, man. Come on. How many times has Bailly had a bad... Bailly would have a bad game and we'd be like, shit, he had a bad one today. That's unlike him. We used to be like that with Smalling and Jones, and now it's like, we just expect this from you lot.
Right, let's change this topic here, because I'm bored of talking about Chris Smalling and Phil Jones. What's happening with Pogba, Dave? Where do you see this guy fitting in? Does he need to come in and show? Because I'm not buying it, but there's a lot of people talking about his attitude and stuff.
Just needs to play some more football, I think. The last 2 games, he's been taken off both games. I'll be playing Pogba as much as I can. Obviously, had that spell-out injury. Just need to give him minutes. Wherever he's playing, in a 2, in a 3, in a 1, I couldn't care less. He just needs to be on the pitch. Technically, United's best player. You look at the stats when he's in the team, in whatever position. United create twice as many chances as they do with Pogba in the team when Pogba's out of the team. So it's one of these things where you just need to play him. Simple as that. Doesn't matter where he is. Could play him at left-back, he'd have a decent game.
Play him at centre half, he'd be better than Smalling.
Did you have some mad callers on the podcast about him?
We had a few interesting callers, yeah.
Right, okay. After you finish watching this, go and check out the podcast. It's up on it's on YouTube. Go and find it on YouTube. There was lots of Pogba chatting there last night, so make sure you go and check that one out. Right then, let's get into the starting 11 game. In fact, before we get into the starting 11 game, I got some comments here from some of the viewers I'm going to get into. So, Joe Lilly says, wagging school to watch this. Reckon I get a shout. You might as well, mate, and good luck working in the warehouse that you're going to end up in. Kyle Rowland says, Chong to make the bench, says Kyle. I wouldn't expect it to be. I think Chong is lighting up the under-18s a little bit, but there's a long way to go for him still. And he's still really recovering from that horrific injury he's had. So I wouldn't...
Can I just say something, Steve?
You can.
Occasionally, when I'm on Full-Time Devils social media accounts, I wander into the inbox and I find messages. And I found a message this morning which said, guys, I think we should send a petition off to sign Umtiti.
I saw that.
Now, first of all, if you're that person and you sent that message and you're watching this, or you've ever sent a message like that to us to make a petition to sign a player or something like that, first of all, ask yourself this question: what the fuck am I doing and why? And is it going to make an impact before you send it off to Full-Time Devils? Because it's not what we want to see.
It goes in the same file as anyone who suggests that we get a plain banner, or anyone that suggests that we start any sort of protest along those mad lines, like, let's protest to sign Ronaldo. No,
Here's a petition.
That doesn't happen,
Here,
right?
Jose, 100,000 United fans want Umtiti. Oh, okay. Fuck him. That's what he's going to do.
I'm 99% sure our transfer activity is not dictated by petitions. So,
and then again,
but we do want to hear... Can I just say... We do want to hear from fans, and we definitely want to see you sending videos in. So if you wanted to send a video in saying something along those lines, then we can include that in the full-time review on a Monday. But we're not going to share a petition or start a petition to sign anybody, because that, like plain banners, are absolutely mental. Right,
Think
so
about it a little bit.
yeah. Marwan Fellaini, not sure it's the real guy, but we'll maybe. He says, Jose out, boring, negative, clues. Don't know if he means clueless, but he's literally just wrote clues. So... John Smith, might be the real John Smith, I don't know, says Moy out, Pritchard cup tied, Expect Phil Billing to come into midfield, all 6'6" of him. Ince to play number 10, corner on the right, unless Town move to a 4-1/4-3-3. I have no idea what Wagner's going to do, in all honesty. I think it's going to be interesting. We are going to get into that in a second, though. Paul Knight, not sure if it's the real Paul Knight. Adam, do you think Jose continues to play Pogba on the right of a two-man midfield when he's clearly better on the left? Why?
No.
Even
I
more
think
so
you
with
should
Marshall on the
just
right, play Sanchez through the middle.
Not play Pogba if we're going to play him there. It's a waste of his talents and our time. And you're just pissing him off. You know what? I don't mind if people want to say, well, you should play anywhere you manage a picture. That is fair. That is a very good point and fair enough. But ultimately, if I'm Paul Pogba and you're telling me to play holding midfielder, I know what I'm telling you to do.
I think what's worth bringing up in this situation is that you've had so many instances of when the likes of Gerrard couldn't play in a midfield too. Lampard couldn't play in a midfield too. Those two couldn't play together in a midfield too, and a lot of people, non-United fans especially, rate these as two of the best midfielders the Premier League's ever seen. But you wouldn't have seen Souness and that going on the way they go on about Pogba. I remember when we signed Varane and we tried to fit Scholes, Keane and Varane into a midfield three. On paper, you're like, oh my God, what an amazing midfield that's going to be. Didn't work. Sometimes it just doesn't work. They just don't mesh together well. Sometimes that's where, you know, a Carrick, Scholes and Owen Hargreaves was absolutely banging for Manchester United as a three. It sometimes just doesn't work. To get the best out of certain players, you have to play them.
Carrick, Scholes, Darren Fletcher, mate.
Shut up, David. Trull says now even top four is in danger. Not quite. It's getting a bit carried away. Asley says 3 midfielder versus Huddersfield. Pogba, Carrick, McTominay. I would like to see Herrera, to be honest with you.
Herrera's injured, isn't he?
He picked up a muscle injury like Rashford, but I think he's only out a week, I think.
Physio room said he was out as well, so it's just a bit strange. Like, is he injured, or is Jose just like, if you're going to leave in the summer, I'm just not going to play you? But then if he's going to have that attitude, please have it with the defenders.
TK says, all I can say is 4-3-3. It's a no-brainer with Lingard to come 60 minutes if no positive results. Not a bad shout. Karel says, Adam, the truth, go. Well, hashtag Adam, the truth, go. Hashtag Adam.
Thanks, Mom.
Proesh says, nah.
Nah. Kino.
I wish you could see what this clown's doing here behind the camera. Right, let's get into the starting 11. Adam's top, John second, Dave third. It's almost like you three are on near enough every single preview. David, give us your starting 11 first, my mate, your formation and all that jazz. Let's see what you're going with against Huddersfield in FA Cup.
Well, I go with the 4-3-3. I think that's a simple one. That's the first thing that I'd stick in. David De Gea in goal. I think I'd just go for it. Valencia, Lindelof, Rojo, Shaw. I think Lindelof and Rojo, just want to see what the pairing's like together. Of course, it's probably, I'd like to see Eric Bailly and Lindelof be the pairing that start for United eventually. So just giving Lindelof as much time as possible, seeing what Rojo can do. That'd be quite nice. I think Shaw over Young in this game's probably needed just again because of the situational pressing that Huddersfield Town do. I think it's probably better to have someone like Luke Shaw that could, defensively is a little bit more comfortable in this game. Matic holding in midfield, Pogba, McTominay ahead of him. I think, again, the three-man midfield is going to be crucial to playing through and around the press. The Huddersfield do like to set. Again, United got caught out in the game in the Premier League away at Huddersfield. Juan Mata with that dodgy touch, Huddersfield broke. And they've been catching teams out like that all season. So United with a 3 is going to be better than a 2. I think Huddersfield to press naturally works better against a 2 than a 3. Bournemouth last weekend, they played a 2 in midfield. They got absolutely destroyed 4-1. And then the front three, Martial, Lukaku and Sanchez. I think Martial needs more game time on the right wing. He needs to play there. He needs to be able to hone his skills on that wing. At the moment, he seems to drift a bit too much to the left. His finishing is poor from that side. I'd like to see him out there more. I'd like to see him work on that as a player, and obviously it would make him where he needs to go. He needs to be comfortable on the left, the right, through the middle, and on this right-hand side at the moment, for me, is a big weakness for Anthony Martial. So the more he plays there, the better.
I kind of agree with that in principle, but I also think that you've got a player in Sanchez who has played and can play on the right. Why would you limit ourselves at the moment to trying to force Martial into a square peg? You know what I mean? Sanchez
has played, once in the last 2 years on the right-hand side. I think he's got skills out there, but at the same time, he's a development.
More goals at Arsenal from that position than any other.
Say that again.
He scored more goals from right wing than any other position for Arsenal, didn't he?
No, that was in his whole career, including Barcelona, but that was a lot
Well, there
of
you go,
Barcelona
then.
game time. But then at the same time there, he's not played on the right-hand side. What the point I was making with Anthony Martial as a young player probably could do is play on the right wing and develop himself out there, whereas Sanchez is the finished product. You're not really going to get anything else. We could find something really interesting about Martial, and I'd like to explore that in games that might
not
not
do that in
matter,
training, though, do you know what I'm saying?
Over.
I think in matches we should probably be trying to win the
Dave's
game.
lost his mind here today.
You've lost it.
Shit, man.
Statman John, do you want to go with your team, please?
I went with a 4-3-3. I really hope Jose Mourinho opts for a 4-3-3. But I went Romero in goal with a back four of Shaw, Rojo, Lindelof, and Darmian. But now that I sort of think about it, I think he'd probably put Jones back in the side and Lindelof as right back because I don't think Mourinho fancies Darmian at all. I also went with a midfield three with Carrick in the hole with Pogba and McTominay. I kind of wanted...
Wait. You voluntarily picked Darmian. You can't just gloss over voluntarily picking Darmian and then move on to the midfield. Like, we're not going to ask you what sort of hallucinogens you've been on this morning that you think it's all right to be picking Darmian.
You know, in all truth, yesterday while I was drafting this, I was kind of already sort of upset at Phil Jones and Chris Smalling for their past performances. I had to watch the Spurs and Newcastle game after the actual game had finished. So, you know, understanding and realizing the score and the performance and then watching that game is absolute just torture. And to see that was sad. But now that I think about it, I think Phil Jones probably wouldn't get dropped and probably Lindelof would be in the right back position. But, you know, I got to stick with what I got to producer Chris. So anyway,
we have other players, though. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. But whatever, I'm done with it. I already lost. Adams won this shit. I'm done. I tried so hard last year, and it looks like Adam's gonna win the league.
He's gonna cry any minute.
You're definitely gonna lose it if you're picking players like Darmian, maniac. All right, go on, give us the rest of your team.
Rest of the team. Midfield three: Pogba, McTominay, and Carrick. I want Matic to be in the hole, but I think he needs rest. I think he's been overworked many times, and the return of Carrick is probably going to allow us to sort of, you know, give Matic the rest. I also agree with Dave in the sense that Sevilla is probably the most important game so far out of, you know, Huddersfield, Chelsea, and Sevilla. So I'm going to go Carrick in that hole with Pogba, McTominay, front three of Sanchez on the left, Lukaku up front, and Lingard on the right.
I see both of you so far have picked a 4-3-3. Is that because you think Jose's picking a 4-3-3 or you just really want to see us pick a 4-3-3?
You know, I've been trying so hard this year to predict what Jose Mourinho will play, but I already lost to Adam, so I can care less. I'm just gonna pick whatever the hell I want. If this is the formation I want, this is the formation I'm gonna put.
That's what got you in that position in the first place, John.
Oh shit!
Wears a turtleneck to look clever, but
please send in which 60s TV character John looks like dressed the way he is. Thank you. Adam, do you want to give us your starting 11?
Looks like the picture of The Rock wearing that bum bag in the 80s.
He just needs a chain. Right, John, you've got about 5 minutes before this show finishes to find a chain to wear over your polo neck before we finish this. Especially while Adam's doing this. Right, go for it, Adam. Statman Adam, what is your team?
I'm going with a 4-2-3-1. I would like to see a 4-3-3, but Jose's not going to change it this week after everyone. He's going to just be like, nope, sticking with this. Pogba, keep crying. You're going to get subbed off again. Anyway, where's John gone?
Don't worry about it. Keep talking.
You're not on screen anyway, John. It's on Adam's team.
I know, it's okay. Just keep talking.
Thought that was the inside of John's bumhole. But anyway.
Fucking Jesus.
David De Gea in goal. Valencia at right back. Jones and Rojo. Shaw at left back. Carrick and McTominay. Alexis, Pogba, Martial, Lukaku. I think he's just going to put Pogba in behind the striker, take Lingard out.
Right, have you got a bum bag? No, you've got 3 minutes to find a bum bag. Can we get Adam's team back up on there? I didn't see the final thing yet. Who was up front? You've got Marshall on the left, Pogba in the middle, Sanchez, Lukaku. That could work. That could work. I quite like the look of that. So
Pogba as a 10 doesn't work.
I know, but I think
Yeah, but Pogba in a fucking
more of a
DM
free-
doesn't work.
it's more of
We're
a free
doing it
roll,
every
innit?
week.
I know what it means. It can still be a 4-3-3, but essentially Pogba just sits in front of the other
No,
two.
this
I
is
know what you
like
mean.
Jose's gonna change, but not change. Like, do you know what? He's gonna be stubborn up until a point. He's gonna be like, yeah, I'm not even playing a 4-3-3, so Pogba can. Yeah. he
If I can change,
Are you gonna?
and
Sneeze,
you
Steve?
can change,
I thought you were gonna sneeze then.
everybody can change. What do you know about Huddersfield, Adam?
Shite internet, shite town, shite weather.
You can
We
keep that
lost
on,
there,
John.
one.
Don't you dare take that off.
I've
You're
only
keeping
ever
that
been
on all
there
day
once,
now.
last, which was good. Huddersfield. What a load of shite.
Right, we're coming to the Rock. What do you think about Huddersfield? What do we need to be looking out for?
Probable.
This was a really bad idea, but we played Huddersfield quite a few times this season. Shit, and, they haven't treated us well at all. They press high and they get into shape pretty well. And they've caused us many problems. I think what we need to do is we really need to try to utilize the sort of transitional period when Huddersfield are getting back into shape from an offensive position to a defensive position. We have the counter-attacking qualities, and that's why I further want to see Jose Mourinho opt for a 4-3-3, because I think with Pogba in a much more freer role, with Sanchez and Lingard and Lukaku in a much more forward position, I think from a counter-attacking perspective, I think we'll have the proper qualities and the proper sort of transition also from going from a defensive position to a counter-attacking position to be able to expose teams like Huddersfield, who should be getting punished for playing that sort of high line and playing that sort of aggressive style. And we really need to, show them that you can't be lenient or you can't be sort of, relaxed when you're playing against teams like Manchester United. We need to punish them for their braveries, and that's what we need to do.
All right, if you are watching this live or later on once it's up, what I need you to do is I need you to cut John's head out, and I need you to put him on that photo of the Rock, or you can either do that, or you can just take this photo and the photo of the Rock and put them side by side. If you tweet them at me, Adam and Dave, we will retweet every single one of them. How about that? Right, Statman Dave.
And that full-time Devils while you're
Yeah,
at
and
it.
that full-time Devils. Statman Dave, do you want to talk to us about Huddersfield and what we can expect?
Yeah, I think they're a very good side from front to back in terms of their pressing, as John mentioned. Their pressing trap's probably the best in the Premier League in terms of tackles. Only Liverpool and Man City have won more tackles in the opponent's half. So there's a danger there. There's a real danger that if United mess about in defensive midfield, Huddersfield will break, and they'll break very, very quickly. The game against Bournemouth last weekend won 4-1, as I mentioned before. In terms of 3 of the 4 goals came from them winning the ball high and transitioning really quickly. And it's something United need to not do, receiving the ball with the back to the play in defensive midfield or taking bad touches in that area will be punished. And that's a big, big thing for United. And that's why 3/2 would work again in this game. Another reason why you should be playing it is because you want to be bypassing this area, or you want to have an option to play around this. It's very dangerous, and it's something United need to not do. In terms of the best player at the moment, I think it's Mounier. He's fantastic. A complete forward for me in terms of his goals. Last weekend's Huddersfield scored one with a header, one with a fantastic finish. He assisted the other one. He's a player that you could either hit with long balls, you can work in the channel, you can play it to his feet. He's going to be a really, really good player. At 23 years old, he's basically set up to have a really fantastic career. Defensively works very hard. So he's a sort of danger man, and supported by Moy. We know what he did against United, in the game at Huddersfield Town. So it's just one of these things where it's controlling Huddersfield's press and controlling what they're doing is going to be key to Manchester United. And arguably playing a little bit slower than they usually do to draw them out, play round the press, and then obviously you're at the back 4 where they get a little bit giddy. So it's just about playing right and playing smart for Man United.
Dave, let's stay with you and give us your score prediction, please.
2-1.
Scorers?
2.
Anthony Martial and Romelu Lukaku.
Adam, score do you reckon?
If we don't turn up, we'll get knocked out, or we'll take it to a replay. Serious. But I'm going to be confident and say 2-0 to Manchester United. But it's got the potential to be a very, very bad day.
Cheers, mate. Rock, what do you reckon?
I'm going.
Dave, you shut up. It's already been a bad day talking to you. Sorry, John.
I'm going 2-0. I'm going 2-0 with Shaw and McTominay on the score sheet.
Do you hate money?
I'm just
Are you
interested to
mad?
hear, Matt, that
Shaw and
we could
McTominay?
either win the game, we can get a replay, or we can lose. Fascinating.
Y'all lucky my eyebrow game is weak because I'll be putting that shit right now. Let's move on.
You just say Shaw and McTominay? Could someone throw me the odds of that, please, in the description after this finishes? What is he doing? What is he doing?
In the
I
description.
think he's lost his mind.
Howson, you bottled it,
He's
mate.
actually, yeah, in the comments.
Don't throw the odds in there because you haven't got a betting partner yet.
Some multiple odds.
You want to
please.
be our betting partner? Get in touch at fulltimedevils@gmail.com.
Also, if you do mental pills, send John some because I think he needs some. Right, thank you guys for joining us today. Go give all these guys a follow, all of their YouTube channels, and follow mine as well. Why not? Let's do that. We'll be with you on tomorrow with all of the match day content pre, during, and after for United in the FA Cup once again against Huddersfield. So make sure to keep it locked to Full Time Devils for all that lot, and we will see you then. Laters.